Hello everybody, Maggie here, coming at you today with a great recipe for the holidays, or if you're just in the mood for something delicious and sweet, vegan pecan pie. All right, let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is start making our pie crust. So in a large mixing bowl, add 1/3 cup of cold vegan butter and 1/3 cup of cold vegan shortening. And then once those are in there, just take your hands and start breaking them up into small pieces. Make sure your hands are clean and make sure the butter and the shortening have both been in the fridge for a minimum of 1 hour. And next we're gonna add 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. And then if you have a pastry cutter, use a pastry cutter, but I don't have one, so I'm just using a potato masher. And then just kind of start mashing everything together until you get little butter balls. Okay, so that looks just about right. And so now you want to take some very cold water. So I've had the water in the fridge for a couple hours. You want to just add about 2 tablespoons to start off. So once you've added your cold water, just get in there with your hands and start forming a dough ball. And it's coming together pretty well, so it looks like all we needed was the 2 tablespoons of water. And now that your dough ball is formed, just transfer it to a sheet of plastic wrap, kind of flatten it out into a little disc, seal it up, and then pop it in the fridge for a minimum of 1 hour, and that just gives the gluten in the bread a chance to relax. So while we're waiting for our dough to set, we can toast up our pecans. So preheat a skillet onto medium heat and then melt a couple tablespoons of coconut oil. So add in 2 cups of pecan halves to the coconut oil and just start frying them up, toss them around. So after about 3 or 4 minutes of toasting up your pecans, they should be ready. You don't want to do it too much because they burn really easily. And transfer over your pecans into a glass bowl and set these aside and let them cool. So our dough has been in the fridge for an hour, and now it is time to roll out our pie crust. So on a nice clean flat work surface, you want to put down flour. You always want to make sure your surface is nice and floured so your dough does not stick whenever you're rolling anything out. Grab a rolling pin, flour up the top, flour up your rolling pin, and roll out your pie crust. Take your pie pan, use it as a reference to see where we're at, and that looks pretty good, and we can always patch up the little areas, that's no problem. So very carefully, peel up your crust and put it as evenly as you can into your pie pan. And just get all the air out. So make sure it's pressed firmly up against the sides of the pan. Any areas that need patching up, just use your fingers and kind of seal them together. So now that our crust is in the pan, you want to just take a knife, kind of get it as even as possible, just so it's over the lip right here. And now just take a fork and crimp down the edges. And you also want to take the fork and just poke little air holes in the bottom and up around the sides. So now that we've completed our pie crust, you want to pre-bake it at 325 degrees for 10 minutes. So now that our pecans have cooled down, you want to take about 1/2 cup of them out and save these for decoration. And then the rest of them, you're just gonna crunch them up. You can use a knife and chop them, but I think it's easy to just use the bottom of a cup or something flat and crunch them all up while they're in a bowl. So after a couple minutes of smashing, your pecans should be good to go and should be in nice little small pieces. And once again, set these aside. So the next thing we need to do is crunch up some saltine crackers, approximately 20 saltine crackers, and you are just gonna crunch these up. And I know the saltines sound a little strange, but they work as a salt source and kind of a leavener for the pie filling, so just trust me. So crunch them all up until they're in nice small little pieces. So the next thing we need to do is make our flax egg replacer. So we're gonna use 4 tablespoons of ground flax seeds and mix that with 8 tablespoons of water. And go ahead and give it a nice stir. And now just set it aside and let it gelatinize. So now it is time to complete our filling. So into a saucepan, you're going to add all of your crushed up toasted pecans. You're gonna add your crushed up saltine crackers. You're gonna add 2 cups of coconut sugar. You can also use white sugar, but I like to use coconut sugar because it's a little healthier and it still tastes great. You're gonna add 3/4 of a cup of maple syrup. You're gonna add 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. You're gonna add 1/2 of a cup of vegan butter. You're gonna add 2 heaping tablespoons of flour. And we're gonna add our flax egg replacer. So after you've added everything to the saucepan, turn it on to a medium-low heat and just start mixing everything together. So everything should melt down pretty quickly, and then you want to stir it for about 5 minutes until the sugar reduces and the mixture gets nice and thick. So it's been about 5 minutes and our mixture is ready to transfer into our pie crust. So take your mixture and pour it in. And now you can take all your pecans that you set aside for decorating and decorate as you see fit. So now that our pie is decorated, we're ready to pop it in the oven. So you're gonna bake it at 325 degrees for about 50 minutes. So while we're waiting on our pie to cool, we'll go ahead and make some coconut whipped cream. So you wanna take 1 can of coconut milk and you wanna put it in the fridge overnight, upside down. And then take it out of the fridge, flip it right side up, and open it up. And then you want to just scrape out all of the white part. So all the coconut fat. And you can see all the coconut water at the bottom. And try not to get any of that in with the coconut fat. You can set the water aside and use it for a smoothie or something later. And to this you want to add a teaspoon of vanilla and about 2 tablespoons of a liquid sweetener. You can use maple syrup, coconut nectar, or agave, which is what I'm using today. And now just take your beaters. It definitely helps to have beaters. And mix it up. The more you beat this mixture, the fluffier it will get, so you want to spend a couple minutes on it. So when you've mixed it to the point where it's very smooth and very fluffy, transfer it into an airtight container and pop it in the fridge, and it'll be ready to serve when the pie's cool. All right, so our pie is all done. I've let it cool down completely, and now it's time to cut a slice. And as you can see, it kind of bubbled over the crust right here, but I think that's because my oven racks are kind of uneven, but that is not a big deal. All right. So let's cut a slice. So now I'm gonna take the whipped cream that we made. So I'm just gonna use the bag that the pecans came in, and I'm gonna use it as a piping bag. I'm gonna just scoop in our whipped cream into one of the corners. You cut the tip and just there we go. All right, our pie is done. Shall we taste it? By the way, it looks and smells so good. Yes, really good. Very nostalgic. It really reminds me of the pecan pies that I used to have at Thanksgiving with my family, which of course we're not vegan. So this pie is very traditional pecan pie tasting. Thank you so much for watching. Give this pie a try for a holiday recipe, or if you're just in the mood for something delicious. Thank you for watching, and keep it vegan, baby.